My name is Marc Smith and I own and run the Cuillin Collective. Highland Titles first got in touch with us back in 2012, and that was originally to create an explainer video to explain what Highland Titles did. So we set about making what we called a handcraft video, and this was when we illustrated everything by hand, photographed it, and then put it into the computer to animate it. This video is still in use today. You can see it on the web, and it's been translated into around 5 different languages.
Here at HighlandTitles.com, you can buy 1 square foot of land in the Scottish Highlands for just £30. And if you want a larger plot to visit and maybe camp for a few nights, taking in the breathtaking Highland views, then you can buy up to 1,000 square foot of land for just £250. Buying land usually involves hefty sums of money, but Highland Titles is here to offer land ownership at an affordable price. As a Scottish landowner, you can use the title of Laird, Lord or Lady. Scottish landowners are traditionally known as lairds. Lord is the English translation and Lady is the female equivalent. These are descriptive titles afforded to Scottish landowners, not noble titles bestowed by the monarch. But why do we do this? Well, Highland Titles has its roots in conservation. When ownership is spread over thousands of people, it makes it impossible for land to be sold as building plots or for commercial forestry. We have planted thousands of native Scottish broadleaf trees, allowing nature to flourish and ensuring the beautiful landscape can be enjoyed by everyone. Upon buying your plot, you receive a personalised gift pack. And throughout the year, we organise optional woodland walks and voluntary tree planting days to help everyone get back to their very own piece of nature. We also have a thriving community on Facebook, enabling landowners across the world to stay in touch. And of course, at the end of it all, you'll have your wee bit hill and glen. So why not buy your plot today at HighlandTitles.com?
Since 2012, there's been many changes on the reserve, and luckily I've got to see them all happen, and I've documented them all. I've got, as you can see here, there's a hard drive back here, and I've got a number of hard drives, and they're just filled with amazing things that Highland Titles have done. One of the most exciting projects that I got to film was the Bumblebee Haven. They blocked off an area and made it ready for bumblebees. I think that's such an amazing idea and such a good use of the land, which is all funded by the people who buy plots. I think it's absolutely amazing. We've also got to film the hedgehog sanctuary. I've seen the wildcats, which most people have never seen a real wildcat, and it's such a pleasure to be involved with that stuff.
So welcome to Mountain View, our second reserve. The trees you see in front of me here are one of our first big projects here at Mountain View. A much newer reserve, not as established as Glencoe Wood down at Durer. This is a nature hedge, which is just what it says. Specially selected trees which will grow into a really big, thick hedge for wildlife. So everything you see here either flowers or has berries or both. We bought 2,805 trees, and we've enlisted the amazing help of DHL, the courier company, and over 4 days they've supplied a whole range of assorted volunteers to plant the hedge. So all we did first of all was we brought Stanley in with the digger, flipped over the soil so as the young trees have no competition with the grasses and the weeds, and then we plant the pods, a little bit of compost around them just to give them a good start, and in no time at all this will be a thick, impenetrable hedge. The other plus of a hedge is this can go. We don't really like fences because it's a nature reserve, but the area in the middle will be planted out once this is established with just a mass of wildflowers for bees. So once this is established, we can take the fence down and the flower area is still protected from the deer.
One of the filming highlights for me was I bought a drone in 2018 in March, and I practiced with it for around 6 months so I wasn't crashing it everywhere. Then I took my license down in Peebles. And as soon as I got that, I let Stuart and the team know at Highland Titles that I had my drone license. And I went down, I think about a month after, to film a wildcat video to tell everyone about the wildcat enclosures. And it's amazing that you've been there. I've been there so many times, but until you send a drone in the sky, you just have no idea the scale of what Highland Titles have actually done there. It's incredible, the lock-ins and just all the paths they've made and everything, all the improvements over the years, you can really see from the sky. So I'm looking forward to the next 10 years, whatever drone's available at the time, is sending it back up again and just seeing the difference. I'm sure then the Sitka spruce will be gone and there'll be something in place of it. It really is, it's quite exciting something really exciting to look forward to.
Caring for the land has inevitably progressed to caring for wildlife, and endangered species has become something of a priority for us here at Highland Titles. To date, we have built 3 enclosures for the endangered Scottish wildcat. Although very elusive, we have 3 wildcats visiting us here right now. All 3 were abandoned as kittens, and as soon as they are ready to be reintroduced to the wild, they will go back where they belong. Wildcats belong out in the wild, not in a cage. These enclosures are all around an acre in size, which is a huge space for our cats. All 3 have been purpose-built within the land here at Dura Reserve. The support of our customers is helping us to ensure the survival of arguably the most endangered animal on the planet, the Scottish wildcat.
My favourite project was the tartan, the Highland Titles tartan. I had no idea that Lochcarron tartan was down in the Scottish borders. I only found out the day before. I was collecting my Tesco shop in Bradford the night before. I had a phone call to say what time will I be there in the morning. I said, well, probably 9 o'clock because it only takes me about an hour and a half to get to Lochcarron from where I am. So no, we're in the Scottish borders. So I had to leave extremely early the next day morning to get down to the Scottish borders, which is about probably around 5 hours from here. Luckily my parents stayed in there so I could stay with them, which is extremely handy because it was a two-day shoot. But I had a reasonable idea of how tartan was made by doing some research for the video, but until I got to the actual factory, I had no idea how complicated it was. It was really quite amazing to watch. And even now, when I found the video on YouTube, because I wanted to watch it again, I thought, it really is such an interesting process. It's such a complicated process as well. But that video is my favourite video. Yeah, that video is my favourite video.
Welcome to Lochcarron of Scotland. Established in 1892 in the beautiful Scottish borders, they are the world's leading manufacturer of tartan. They specialise in weaving many different tartans that go towards creating anything tartan. Kilts, cushions, bags, ties, scarves, caps, teddy bears, well, the list goes on. The Highland Titles tartan is a very unique tartan. It was designed by Highland Titles in 2011 and is registered at the Scottish Register of Tartans for exclusive use by the Lairds of Glencoe. The first step in creating tartan is to wind the right amount of wool ready for dyeing. Any thread can be used, but for Highland Titles tartan, only pure new wool is used. Next is on to the dyeing room, where all the dye is mixed. Once the correct colours are created, the dye colours are applied in hot water and the solution is soaked through the yarn cones to achieve even coverage. They are then dried in an oven for between 6 and 8 hours. Then it's on to the warping. This is where we create the warp pattern of the fabric from the dyed yarns. All colours are placed in the order of the tartan pattern on the warp mill bank. Although new technology is used, it requires a great deal of textile knowledge and skills to ensure the tartans are produced correctly. Once ready to go, the machine will begin turning and warping around 450 meters per minute. All of the threads are combined at an incredible rate with minimal breakages. Every run requires skilled work to prepare the warp for weaving. On each occasion, the warper must arrange the threads by hand and ensure that everything is aligned properly. Here you can see the tartan pattern being created. The yarn is tied like this to ensure an easy move onto the smaller beam ready for weaving. Once the full length has been warped, the warper then feeds a wooden pole into the knots and turns it over towards the rear of the machine. This completes the warping process. Now the warp must be wound off the warp beam onto a smaller beam, which is then moved across to one of the weaving machines. Next up, the weaving. For the Highland Titles tartan, this took 3 days on one machine. The beam and separate cross threads are fed into the loom. You might not be able to see the actual yarn being inserted, as the process is very fast, but here you can see the fabric forming. These are called shafts, and they carry the warp threads into the weaving loom in a sequence which creates a fabric construction or weave. This edge is created in the loom whilst weaving. Here you can see the special woven edges, which means you do not need to use a hem on your kilt. Once the fabric has been woven, it needs checked, which is where the darners come in. Each length is meticulously checked for errors. If there are, the darners fix them then and there. Every square foot of land you buy gives you access to the exclusive Highland Titles tartan, which can be bought in our online shop.
I think one of my favourite things to do with Highland Titles is working with Stuart. He's really good on camera. I'm terrible. There's been so many outtakes in this video which no one will see because I'm the editor. But it's been really is working with Stuart is incredible. He doesn't need a script, and when he does use a script, that's when I get the bloopers. But he doesn't need a script. It's just all in his head, and he's so natural in front of the camera. It makes my life so much easier. But Stuart and I have now known each other for maybe since 2014 when I filmed the first gathering. And it's been great working with him on all the projects since then. And he's great to have on camera. Although obviously I do make a few blooper videos because everyone likes him so much, I've got no choice but to put these bloopers together. Sorry, Stuart. Scots Pine.
If I'm going to stop there.
Yeah.
I wonder how many steps it is. Caring for the land over the last decade has inevitably... I always just ad-lib because I never remember lines. At Highland Titles, I'm getting worse instead of better. Caring for the land over the last decade has inevitably become caring for its wildlife as well. Endangered animals, how can I forget endangered animals? And sugar. I had it there, that was your fault.
Just in case there's a wee bit gap together.
For its wildlife as well. endangered. Why can I not remember? Endangered and endangered. Inevitably progressed caring for wildlife. Caring. I said, now don't start me laughing. That'll be worse. And endangered species has become something of a. Caring for the wildlife has inevitably progressed to caring. No, not caring for the wildlife. Caring for the land over the last decade has.
I've actually just seen that Stuart's put on the new bloopers reel.
Can you just go when you're ready, Stuart?
This is maybe why Stuart doesn't like working with me as much. This is the start of their new blooper reel.
I know you're thinking, I look like a complete idiot. I look like a complete idiot. I look like a complete idiot. I look like a complete idiot.
So that's what Stuart has to contend with me. But I really hope you enjoy watching all the videos that I made over the years. It has been an absolute joy to work with Highland Titles, and hopefully there's a lot more exciting projects coming up, which I'm sure there will be, because they're always thinking about the next best thing. And it's yeah, and maybe one day if you're ever at the gathering, just pop up and have a chat, and I'll tell you more in-depth stories about Stuart and his bloopers. Right, cheers.